Hello everyone, so this is going to be my review for episode 125 and 126 of Cardfight Vanguard. Now this episode starts out with the guy in the purple hair, which I always forget his name, him and the principal making their next plans against the Cardfight Club. And they start talking about this group of 3 card fighters that are supposed to be psychic and have these powers and have these deep connections to the elements around them and possibly another dimension and crazy stuff. And they're supposed to fight against Aichi and defeat them, and in return they get the room that Aichi and them are using for their card fight club right now. And when they talked about this group, they didn't really give them a special name or call them anything special, and I went back and checked a second time and I didn't really hear any special name for their group of card fighters or anything like that, unless somehow I skipped over it twice or missed it. But when you actually start getting towards the card fight wall, these 3 guys were waiting on the rooftop for Aichi and his team to show up. Instead of them showing up, Leon showed up. So that was really interesting to see Leon just randomly show up at Aichi's school, and especially see him show up on the rooftop where, Aichi was supposed to fight against these 3 guys that are supposed to be psychic. And as soon as the leader of the group started getting a good idea of, who Leon is and stuff like that, right when they were about to actually fight, you pretty much told Leon that, we're gonna fight, you can't leave. And then the door right behind Leon just randomly shut. And there was all this crazy weather going on, and supposedly they caused this weather, but honestly anybody could just, watch the news and say, oh, I made this weather, or I predicted it or something like that. So, as we actually get into the card fight, there was 2 points throughout the card fight where some interesting things happened. The first time, there were these bandages all over this guy. One of them was over his head, and the other ones were all over his arm. Now, when the first one come off, which was the one on his head, there was this eyeball on it. Now, it wasn't like a real eyeball, it was just like drawn. It could have been a marker or paint or something like that, and it supposedly gave him this power to take away the will to fight from people that he's fighting against. And, honestly, it could just be some sort of a mind trick or something to try to shake people up and make them nervous and stuff like that, or some sort of reverse psychology or something. But, as we started getting later into the card fight, the second thing that happened was all these bandages started breaking off. He made these noises like he was in agonizing pain, when the bandages would start coming off. And, he had all these marks all over his arm as soon as the bandages came off. And they're supposed to give him this power that makes him unbeatable. And then he, uses his last card, his 3rd card, which is supposed to be his ultimate powerful card. And, lightning just bolts to it and stuff like that. And, it was not that bad of a card. And during the card fight, this guy wasn't doing that bad against Leon because he got tied up a couple of times. And, this card had a pretty good limit break. The limit break gave all of his monsters 3,000 attack, which is pretty good. I've seen some that give, 1 or 2 monsters 5,000 or something like that. But all of his monsters 3,000 is pretty good. But, shortly after this, apparently, part of this power that this guy gets, there's some sort of a trade-off. It's some sort of a power that can, like, take over him. And he gave this guy this speech, and, he was really trying to help this guy out, and he was really trying to help this guy keep from becoming what Leon was, whether or not actually, he had this supposed power or something like that he was getting from all these marks and stuff like that. Now, Leon ends up winning the card fight, of course, and he leaves it by giving him a speech and telling him that, him and his friends should just have more confidence in each other, they should really help each other out, and really, really work hard if they truly want to make their goal. And, during this whole entire card fight, the thing I really enjoyed about this episode was that Aichi and the team were all having a really nice lunch, and Korin made some really nice food for everybody, and Takuto showed up and talked about how she was so happy, and she was smiling and looked like she was so excited while she was making this food, and how happy she was to make it for everybody. And then she started blushing, and she was getting nervous, and then he started embarrassing her even more. And then at some point, someone said something like about, like, how, even though she's kind of a celebrity, she does normal, everyday things. She's just like a normal person. She watches TV and a couple of other things. And one of those things, was that she snores in her sleep, apparently. He was saying that that's normal, which not everyone snores in their sleep, so it's not exactly normal. But Takuto pretty much said, well, actually, and apparently Korin snores in her sleep. So that was interesting. It was, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but it was kind of funny. And just seeing her getting kind of embarrassed and her blushing and getting nervous and stuff was kind of funny. And, after Leon's fight with those 3 guys, he showed up, and the episode pretty much ended with Leon and Aichi having a card fight, which we didn't really get to see, which was kind of sad. But, I bet it was a really, really good one, too. And, it was really not that bad. So the next episode starts out with Aichi having a really, really bad dream. In his bad dream, his friends were all just, leaving him. They were walking away, they were ignoring him, and he kept on just running towards them, trying to chase after them and catch up to them. And they just kept on walking and walking away, not even looking back, and it was just really, really bad dream. And as he went to school, he started, freaking out because the first thing he saw when he walked in the classroom was that nobody, none of his friends were sitting down or anything. And then that's when his friends actually showed up, everybody but Corin, and I can't remember her name, the one in the pink hair. God, I need to remember her name. But, so he was happy and relieved to see that they showed up, and, they came to the, the assumption that maybe Corin was gone, and maybe she was making a music video, because she is a celebrity and stuff like that. And as soon as school was over, they talked about how they were going to go to Card Capital and have some card fights there, and ready to have some fun. And Naoki forgot his book bag, and so he went back to the classroom, and as soon as he was getting ready to leave, he saw the redhead chick, which I don't really know her name, the redhead chick that actually works under the principal and works in the office and stuff. So he follows her, and she walks into this room where there was this invisible door, and as soon as he walks in the room, she's talking to all these floating screens, like holographic screens, and she's talking to somebody about these these plans that she has, and it looks like she's working for more than just the principal, and there might be an even bigger plan, or something bad really, really going on, Now, the next thing that happens is that he shows up to Card Capital, and he looks very, very different, and even the cat that usually sits on the counter, or by the register, just runs away, and she starts getting really, really scared and shaking up. And Shingo starts yelling in his face, like, you showed up 30 minutes late. And then, the first words that come out of Naoki's mouth was, you are nothing to me. And then suddenly the guy gets, shaken up and really, really scared. And I know this may sound kind of weird, but I smiled, and I laughed on the inside a lot as soon as, he actually said those words, just to see, Shingo's, mood just suddenly change, and to see him just get so shaken up. And so, when he's getting ready to fight Aichi, everyone notices that he's acting kind of weird, when you probably want to watch him. And throughout the card fight, at some point, everyone noticed that, wow, he's actually doing really good, and if you didn't know any better, you'd almost say that it was equal between these two guys. And, Naoki's good, but, there was many times, especially in the beginning, where he would just make simple mistakes, just really, really, just really make some of the wrong choices. And seeing him not make any wrong choices, and he even changed out the card that he started with and everything. So it was fighting very, very differently. And, it was really, really crazy, and Aichi was getting this weird vibe, and there was these red marks all over his face, which was interesting just because those three guys that, Leon was actually fighting against did have red marks on them, but we didn't get the same effect from them. Now, towards the end of the card fight, the last most powerful monster that he puts on the field is a reverse version of Eradicator, which, Kai is very, he's very experienced with that clan, but he's never heard of it. And this card, holy crap, it destroyed all of the rear guards on Aichi's side of the field. So it's really powerful, and it had well over 40,000, probably, wow, including the rear guard that was behind his creature, which had 33,000, and actually gave his power to, the reverse version of Eradicator. That monster was just too powerful. And, shortly after, Aichi defeated him, he started, freaking out and stuff like that. And then this red aura that was around him and those marks and stuff just disappeared. And his eyes went back to normal. And, he didn't remember everything. And everyone was like, do you got amnesia, man? When you fell down, did you, hit your head and, suddenly forget everything that happened within the last, half hour or something? What is really going on here? So Kai walks over and checks on the card, the reverse version of Eradicator, and, it just disappeared. Just disappeared, in front, right in his hand. And it was really, really strange. So, this was a very interesting episode, and at the very end of the day, there was a lot of things I was really, really thinking about. This really makes me excited just because I know for a fact there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and there's an even bigger threat, and I don't know if this has to do with, what was in the last season, who they were fighting against or what they were fighting against. So it's really, really crazy, and seeing this reverse version of a monster makes me think, are we going to start seeing, reverse versions of more monsters or something? And, are we going to start seeing more people, get taken over, consumed or something like that, like Naoki was? Like, there's a lot of big questions, and occasionally throughout seasons, there's going to be episodes like this where a lot of things just quickly change and the plot, just thickens and a lot of crazy stuff happens in order to, just spice up the show, you know what I mean? So then you don't get used to too much of the same stuff over and over again, and just to make things really, really interesting. Well, anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Sorry if this video is very, very long, guys, but, there's just a lot of things to really, really talk about, and I'm really happy to see things changing up. I hope that it's for the better, and it's not just, some, I guess you could say things that could end up affecting the story in the long run, you know what I mean? But I'm happy to see things getting really, really interesting, and happy to see that they didn't make those common mistakes. There was a lot of really good things about this episode. Nothing too special, but I still find it interesting and kind of sad that those 3 guys that were supposed to be psychic, I'm pretty sure that they weren't, but seeing that they had red marks on them, and how Naoki actually did later on, but he was like consumed or something, but these guys actually weren't. Like, it's really interesting. Maybe there's some sort of truth to what they were talking about and whatever power that they, were talking about that they can get, by having these markings all over their arms and that kind of stuff, or at least leader. But, it's still a bit of a disappointment, and it's still great to see Leon is actually, truly good right now. And, hopefully it doesn't, he doesn't turn evil too soon, with all this stuff going on right now. But I guess we'll have to see. I'm really excited to see the next episodes. There's a lot of great stuff to look forward to, and there's just so many questions. I mean, who was that chick talking to? But anyways, that's it for this video. Sorry for blabbering on, guys, and it's alright if I actually did a little jump cut editing right there. Let's just say my camera actually died on me. But, yeah. So thank you again, guys, for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.